Hey, welcome back. Savian here. Just want to give you a heads up before we start the show. I had a bit of an issue with my microphone for this episode, but I'd still definitely enjoy it because this one is going to be mostly Laura actually talking about, well, you've seen the title. And without further ado, let's start the show.
I missed. There we go. I think I got it that time.
All right. Welcome back, everyone. It's me, Raven, from the Egg Couple,
and Laura here.
Also from the Egg Couple. And we
I know.
The same area.
And we switched. Usually I'm the one that introduces us.
Yeah, I didn't know how to forward with this one. Anyway.
I know, this one's a little bit different, I guess.
Yeah, Pierre, all kind of crazy.
Well, I mean, I have my laptop in front of me with the info in front of me. And, we'll just see what happens.
So Laura's taking the lead on this topic. I guess, well, let's give a little background before.
I know, but it's been so long.
It has. Of course, it's in the title. So it's no secret. We're talking about the Cockygate Controversy.
Part 2. Update.
Yes, exactly. From whence it came. So.
Yeah. Well, we did it back in May is when we published it. And it was like brand spanking new then, too. Yeah. I am involved in, the romance author community because I work for a romance author. So when this came across my Twitter, it was like, oh, shit, that's pretty crazy. I mean, the author that I work for wasn't affected, and I don't know any other particular authors that were affected, but they were affected.
It's one of those things, it affects a whole community. Like, let's say, back in the day, everybody remembers the Let's Plays that how affect that community. Or if you're not into YouTube, then how about what's her name? She's a singer. Taylor Swift, and her copywriting 1989. Which, and that kind of whole issue. And that's kind of the issue. It affects, it's something small that this, with the person who's the complainant thinks that they're doing is right, but they have no idea of the large rippling effects that what they're trying to do causes.
The thing is, I think it's with a lot of things, people think about themselves and how, what to do to help themselves, but they don't necessarily think about how it could affect a lot of other people. And sometimes when they go through with it and only think of themselves rather than the whole see the whole picture, it ends up biting them in the butt, which it ended up doing that with her and Partial. And I mean, we have not re-listened to our first episode or, the episode that we did on it, which was episode 5, by the way, if you want to go back and listen to that.
Oh, my goodness. This is episode 40.
I know.
Well, if you look at our page, and I had someone bring this up to me while I was playing VR chat. There was okay, you have I think it's 46 episodes or something like that. I don't really know. I'm not looking at the numbers, but we for our official number when we see the E1, 2, 3, 4, those are the actual episodes, the ones that were.
Yeah, those are our full episodes. Anything else is bonus, short, trailer, whatever.
Which I'm glad we actually mentioned that because I'm going to be throwing in a bonus sometime in the middle of the week. I'm aiming for Wednesday. Please don't hold me to it. It's something new that I'm going to start trying out, and as like you said before on I think our New Year's as we were coming up that we were going to try new things.
Yep.
And I'm hoping you like it. It is similar to my other chat. It's the best one I've done by far, so I'm hoping that it really resonates with some people. It's going to be safe for work. There is some mild cursing. So. Anyway, without further ado, we're going on to part 2. We gave a little bit of a back history. And
okay. So, we talked about us talking about it, but pretty much what happened is there was an author, Felina Hawkins, who decided that she had a bunch of different romance books and Cocky was a part of her title. And so she ended up going and putting 2 trademarks in on Cocky. One was on the text image version of it. And then the other one was on the actual font of it.
So basically, the wording was supposed to be her brand, or this is how she saw it.
Yeah. Which brands that's what trademarks are for. They're to protect brands. And she was saying that it was, to protect her brand. The issue is that cocky is a very commonly used word, not just in the romance community, but lots of places, So common words like that are not supposed to be able to be trademarked. So it was kind of like this odd, thing, and yeah, so there was an issue with that. And let's just say the romance community very much was not happy with her.
And this is, a very well known to be passionate community.
Yes, they are very passionate.
No pun intended.
Well, no, pun was definitely intended.
Okay, yeah. I can slide that one through.
Yeah. So, there was a lot of people that were like hashtag Cockygate started, becoming a big thing. And then By Felina or whatever was also another hashtag that went out.
I see. So I switched from By Felicia to By Felina. Very
or
clever.
Maybe it was Felicia. I don't know. Either way, whatever her name was. No, Felina. Yeah, it was Felina.
Yeah. I was saying that they try to not explain the joke.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I didn't understand it. Oh, you were making me think did I get her name wrong?
Don't worry. We're going to just moving past.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right. Anyhow, but the thing was if you are with any community, if you are a small person, not a big author or anything like that, and Felina sent out these cease and desist orders to them. And then she also would send it to Amazon. And sometimes when that happens, if
Amazon kind of gets okay.
They will literally just shut down your whole account because they think you're stealing. And so usually when you do a cease and desist first, you contact the author and you're like, hey, but she pretty much was telling everybody, get this down now. And then apparently there were also times where they didn't even get the email until after Amazon had already contacted them and said their book was taken down for copyright issues, and it was just this huge thing. And big companies started actually getting involved in it. There was the let's see, what was their names? The romance writers of, I don't know. Hold on.
Romance writer. That's not like an adventurous names. There's a league of horseback, long hair writers meant to protect the day of not steal our books.
Yeah, the RWA, Romance Writers Association.
Okay, yeah,
they're meant to protect, the romance community. That's
the sword and she we will unite.
So pretty much, they contacted, Amazon and were like, hey, let us figure this out. Just stop taking down, people's or Romance Writers of America. Anyhow, to stop, taking them down. And so Amazon agreed that, they would stop taking them down until all this was figured out, but still there were authors that were being majorly affected. There was already quite a few that had taken down their books or had them involuntarily taken down. And then they had to, some of them had to get new covers, rename their books. And this might seem like an easy thing, but it's not. It really isn't. It's
think for others, kind of think about it this way. Imagine if someone was able to take down your job.
Yeah.
This is how you make money. This is how you get your income. And sorry, you can't come into work today, even though it's Monday.
Actually, it's even worse than that. Because what if somebody was like, hey, I'm going to take down your job and you have to pay me $500 in order to get back in.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because that's what happened. They would have to then pay to get their cover redone, which is not cheap if you have a really good cover. You might do it yourself or you might have somebody else do it. It could be anywhere from,
exactly.
100 or, to a couple hundred.
Some of those artworks you see on those covers, they're literally little pieces of work of art.
Yeah.
They may not be seen that way because you see them so often, but each one of those, the line or the person who's being photoshopped in there, it's not a 5-minute thing. It's a conversation. There's multiple conversations sometimes.
Yeah.
And for having, let's say you have a line of 15 books, and then also because someone else's branding they think is affected, you got to change all 15 of your books.
Yeah.
That's
not to mention, getting new, new ads, taking down old ads. A lot of times when a book is taken down like that, your reviews are taken away, and reviews are gold.
Exactly. You depend on those for people to know that you exist and what what to expect from you.
Yeah. So it affected a lot, and it was really crappy how it all went down.
Mm-hmm.
And so people were very pissed. But eventually they started to get together, and there was these group of women. There was one book that was put out that ended up being majorly big selling. It was there's something about this was the cockiest cock to ever have cocked or something like that.
Yeah,
it was like it was pretty much without using the word cocky. They like made this play on words. It was hilarious. And there was another one where a group of authors got together and all wrote like a book about cocks and stuff like that or whatever. And it was they had it was a box set, but all the money went to help the people who were going going through all this issues. And
being on the outside of this whole situation, what it seemed like is this is like the perfect introvert's way of writing, like the quiet people in the background, like, because most people, if you're not into that erotic novel, you probably have never heard any of this or understood any of this that was happening. But just imagine, like, on the low, in the erotic community, there's angry people, and they're attacking using cocks via text. This isn't pictures.
The thing is, it was like, and I mean, you would, like, when I was, like, looking it up and stuff, you would find roosters, pictures of roosters and stuff. And, I mean, they were, like, putting pictures of roosters on their book covers. I mean, they were going after her, but in a very funny way.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, it's like, this could have been with any word. Cocky is not the only word that's used a lot in the romance community.
Johnson, Willie.
But it was freaking hilarious that this ended up being the word that got trademarked. And I mean, horrible for the people involved, but still, I was like, wow. I mean, it was pretty crazy. So anyhow, there was a lot of lawsuits and things being thrown around, and one guy, I'll never be able to pronounce his name, but he was a lawyer, and Neuper. I don't know. Anyhow, it's Keneuupper. Anyhow, so he started a petition and to take down this trademark, and the author responded by suing him, and then she also sued a couple other people that were saying they would not change their words, and they said things about her or whatever. And so there was all these lawsuits and things flying around and whatnot. And so eventually it got before a judge. I mean, I would have freaking loved to have seen this judge's reaction.
I guess they must see some wild case on this, but I just couldn't imagine hear ye, we're here to talk about Cockygate.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, it would have been pretty funny, but the thing is, her reasoning for using it, she wanted to protect her readers and said that it was very easy for them to get confused, and they were buying the wrong books, not her books.
A minor problem, I think, for most businesses. You name it, Burger King, McDonald's. I mean,
they all pretty much do the same thing and sell the same thing. But, sometimes you're just in the mood for one versus the other. Yeah. I mean, it's like listening to podcasts. You might not just, you probably don't just listen to one. You listen to a bunch of them.
Exactly.
It's the same way with books. You don't just read one book. You don't just read books by only one author. You read a bunch of different books. It's your genre or outside of your genre.
And I do feel in a way, that is a good large part of your responsibility as for someone who's trying to protect their brand and their business, is to try to make your name stand out as much as possible. I think we tried that with our change with our logo, to try to communicate more of who we wanted to be than versus kind of what we kind of started off as. And I think that's not the law's job to step in. I think that's your job as your business. I mean, if you're trying to okay, why do people keep confusing me for this person? Look at what your brand is and try to, really improve on that. Instead, what they're trying to do is, this is, in a way, it's almost it's just stepping up your competition to the point where it does more harm. It's not stealing, but it is kind of a way of stomping out your competition by legal matters. They can't sell their books. They can't put their stuff out there. And you're you're stepping out their way, or basically putting, your hand on the door to keep them from continuing on.
Yeah.
And I think that, and the sad thing is that you're using the legal process to do so. So it should be illegal to do that, to use the legal process to legally keep people from continuing on. They're not doing anything wrong.
Yeah. Well, it's a difficult thing. It really should not have ever gotten to the trademark point, at least for some of it. it's just, I don't know how she was able to get that, but it was ridiculous and a very.
This has happened often with what there's something else that happened more recent. There was the Fortnite situation and the dancers. And
that one's still yet to be seen what's going to happen with it.
Correct. I think, but most people get the gist of the idea. If you haven't heard this the first time, I'm surprised you're able to avoid that. It seemed pretty big. But essentially, there's a lot of people who are popular celebrities that started these dances, and they claim to be the first to make these dances. Whether or not they are, people have kind of found other things out. But that's past the point. They noticed that Fortnite makes a lot of money using their dances as promotion, and they don't like the fact that they're not getting any piece of the pie. So they want to take copyright, to take them to task for it. But in the same way, I see all of them kind of, looking at it as protecting their identity, or this is what they're supposed to do, and not quite having a full understanding of how the process works or why it works the way it does. And her in the same situation. I don't think she really meant to hurt anybody by it. She probably just wanted to make sure that her readers, her fans, got the best chance to hear her.
Okay. So the romance community is a very tight-knit, in books or whatever, tight-knit community.
That sounds right.
But there have certainly been its problems.
Mm-hmm.
One of the ones I know of for sure are, because I've seen it happen, where people will go and put a bad review on a book that is their competition.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Or an author that is their competition. So they'll go put bad reviews, or they'll send their people to go put bad reviews, or, whatever. Those things I have seen happen.
So there's a little vindictive cat fighting.
Yeah. No, there certainly have been issues, but where there's like one issue, there's like 100 good things,
like where in a different light,
oh yeah, no, you have to be, it's a constant fight. And the thing is, like, even when you put out good, whether good or bad reviews, it's very difficult to do that. Leaving reviews for books, as a person who's trying to help promote somebody else's book, it's difficult to do. Like, you have if you have any, like, I cannot leave a review anymore on Amazon for any of the books of the author I work for, because they have found out that I am connected with her, and I am banned from leaving any reviews on her books.
Wow.
Yeah. If you are a family member or a close friend connected with somebody on social media, you will be banned, or your review will be taken away.
Doesn't that paint an unfair advantage? Because you're just one reviewer.
Yeah.
And you have the power of one reviewer. But if you're someone who's trying to attack another person, then you're not tied to that person, and you can attack all day. That does give an unfair advantage.
Very much so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And why?
Well, and then the thing is, okay, think of it this way too. When you first start a podcast, who is it that you ask to like go and listen to your podcast or go review your podcast?
Your friends, your family.
Yeah.
By the way, hello guys. Listening.
Yeah, exactly. But for an author, if Amazon discovers that you are, that your family or your friend are connected with them, even if you just like their page on Facebook, if they ever discover it, they will then take your review down. That is
shameful.
And they very might well ban you from it, like they did for me.
Yeah, and that's very shameful. I mean, from a book company, and what I feel like is there's a lot of people who maybe aren't, well, maybe similar to how YouTube works.
I mean, I think they look at it as they consider it biased.
Yes.
But I mean, that's, everybody is biased.
Yeah. In fact, I think that's more valid. Let's say you're a fan. You go to this person's page every day. You really love.
Yeah.
Like for me, I really love. I'm just going to throw one out there, and you may not know what it is. I love Ranma One Half. It's an excellent show that I love. I'm a huge fan of that. But as a fan, I would like their Facebook page.
Yep.
I would probably like their Twitter. I would probably like this, and I would probably like that. And of course, I'm going to leave a review and tell them how I feel, how passionate I am about that project. This feels like you're attacking fans.
Yep.
By the way they're doing this, and leaves an opening for people who won't like it. So it's like, in a way, I'm just going to say it like this: like they prefer negative reviews.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, but you can't contact anybody with Amazon. You can't be like, hey, why is this going on? Because, Amazon is huge.
Well, exactly. I feel like that's a poor excuse. There's been huge
it is a poor excuse.
There's been huge companies before Amazon, YouTube, Google, and whatnot.
All I'm saying is they don't give a shit about,
That's very true. That's very true. When it comes to like being someone who's who may be helping someone else's platform out, as many of these platforms are out there. I mean, PewDiePie is a big one. Oh, by the way, our family here has definitely all subscribed to PewDiePie, 5 series. Or at least a race to 100 subs. Anyway, past that funny talk. When it comes to individuals, no matter how impressive their work or anything like that, and I feel like they're not, what do you call it? I guess praised enough within their own community. But before then, like we look at like movie films or maybe even like other subgenres out there, comparing like the 80s and 70s, for people who really shine or helped this company shine, they kind of did lift them up. I don't feel like the new people that are come to rise of power in the current day and age are really doing that or even care to do so.
The thing is too, and we've had this discussion before, kind of like YouTube is with their video creators and not necessarily doing the things that are they're in their best interest, even though YouTube wouldn't exist without them.
Yeah.
Amazon has been like that really with authors. I don't know about everybody else, but my very first experience with Amazon was through ebooks. That is the only reason I ever created an Amazon account, was to get their ebooks.
When I first heard Amazon, that's what I knew them for as well.
Yeah,
their e-readers and ebooks.
Yeah, I do believe that was like the thing that really made them big. And then they just kind of exploded from there over time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if it hadn't been for the ebooks and for the self-publishing people who have been rejected over and over again by publishers or just couldn't even get their books out there at all, now they had a platform and they exploded because of it. And all these people were coming to it, and eventually they started selling things and yada, yada. The rest is history.
I mean, the world before was, imagine trying to get a book out there. It has to be paperback, a hardcover.
Yeah.
You got to push this out in many location stores.
If you were lucky enough to be one of the few to actually get a publisher, you only got I think I've heard it's 10% of the revenue that your book made. You only made, as the author who created that, 10% of it.
Yeah.
I mean, whereas with Amazon, you can make up to like 70%. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I think in a way rightfully so, because it's like you do create these works, you do all this work.
Yeah.
So in a way, like, yeah, that is much better. I feel like in a way, except for championing, like that's where we come from. That's our ground roots. These are the people that kind of got us where we are. They just kind of like, well, now that we make more money, we're just going to have some third party group kind of handle this and oversight, and we're never going to look back. We'll let them do whatever they want. And we've been seeing it with just promotion when it comes to romantic novels, and yes, I will say that maybe nudity and stuff like that, and there's sexual innuendos that happen in romantic novels do need to be watched. But
Amazon is very particular. I mean, they very particular on that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Apple's worse, but
exactly, there's fully clothed people that get hit because of, was it unnatural body type?
Oh, actually, that's Facebook. That's different.
Oh, okay. I was
Amazon, Amazon's not as hideous with that. If you put, a lot of you go to the romance section and you're going to find mostly half naked men on the book covers.
That's just what they like. That's right.
Well, you sell your, to a certain crowd and they expect something, a particular something, and there you give it to them.
That's fine. That's fine.
But
I'm not judging.
But either way, I will say, getting back to the cocky controversy thing, that Amazon, I was actually really surprised, I guess, to hear of them actually being like, okay, hey, we'll stop pulling off all these books until you guys figure this out in your own community. I was like, oh, well, I mean, as many things as Amazon does that drive me nuts.
It's rare to see them defend a community.
Yeah, I was very pleasantly.
After a request, but.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they wouldn't have had any clue really what was going on before that. So the fact that they responded in that way, I will give them kudos for that. But anyhow, so when this went before the judge, pretty much that judge was like, yeah, no, this isn't happening. So he denied the pretty much the whole thing. I don't know if there will be a future one, if this will continue, but as far as I can tell, the Cocky controversy, the Cockygate, whatever, is over. Because the judge had said that the trademark was weak at best, and that the plaintiff's evidence to prove confusion or sophistication of purchase was, pretty much nothing. It was really weak too. And eventually, Hopkins herself, she pulled her lawsuit away and she surrendered her trademark to it. But unfortunately, I think she probably did a lot of damage to her reputation.
Yeah, but people do know her brand now.
Well, they know her. It's just whether people are still like buying her books. I don't really know.
There is the whole publicity of like any publicity is positive or negative publicity.
As far as I've seen, it didn't help her.
well, correct. But think about like what I was talking about with what was the name of R. Kelly in his whole situation, which I'm not going deep into that because that's not our stick yet. We are not advancing into that direction as of yet. You have to leave comments to let us know before we can go that far. but simply there was this thing about when they were mentioning R. Kelly's song started to sell because of his controversy.
Yeah,
and it's not because people liked R. Kelly. It's just that because how the news works is when they show something, they want to show like another material of it. So they kept playing R. Kelly songs. So people start thinking R. Kelly songs. They just put in the head. Let me go on Spotify and listen to that song again. History remix to Ignition, and it's so it kind of played in his favor where he also got a little extra bonus just because people were reminded that his songs.
Well, it's kind of like, okay, if I see a clickbait title, I don't click on it because I don't want to give them that click. So I go read the comments, and somebody always puts the answer down there.
I'm totally guilty. I do.
No, I don't do it.
There's some good looking. Well, I think there's also a difference too. There's things that I'm attracted to that you're not attracted to, and there's a lot more of it for me than for you. I mean, I'm just saying this. If there's cleavage, I mean, it really does get me to really want to understand what kind of argument they want to go.
Okay.
But yes, anyway. Side note there. Oh, okay. So something else I want to talk about.
Well, I'm not quite over with this. There's other, while Cockygate might be over, something else has kind of come up with all this.
Oh?
Yeah. So apparently there's been a lot of copycats. Not with the word cocky, mind you, but other words. Somebody tried to put in a trademark registration for the word big.
Okay.
Which it says it's still under review, apparently. At least according to the article I'm reading.
Oh my goodness, this is horrible.
Somebody also tried to register, and this one might really get some of our people, quantum series.
Oh no. The science community. We there's got to be some people here. I mean, someone get Veritasium on the horn. That's
yeah,
they're gonna have some problems with that.
Well, apparently it says when the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America became aware of this application, they approached the Authors Guild for assistance. So it's like, nope, that ain't happening, because that would affect a lot more. Because apparently it was a romance author that did this one.
Oh, Quantum Leap. Could you imagine this a crowd?
Yeah. And so, but yeah, that affects obviously the science fiction community a lot.
Yeah.
So that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, games as well too.
And so now the Authors Guild and some other people they're in contact with the trademark office going like, dudes, is anybody over there doing their job? So pretty much they're trying to the trademark people are like, oh, okay, we're going to start doing some more training and, whatever and stuff on book series titles, because, apparently a lot of these are like getting by them. And it's, it's obviously it could have some major issues.
Yeah.
Like it's okay to trademark, your brand, but like book titles, as far as I've read.
Perfect example.
Well, as far as I've read, book titles shouldn't be a part of that. Like you know.
Yes. I mean, the common words, common phrases, or in some in common words and common phrases. McDonald's. There's a lot of people named McDonald, but there's not a lot of people named Coca-Cola. And so, I mean, there's a lot of substance and backwards, we call it logic behind how copyright works. It's essentially about someone copying your brand. You could have two companies called Coca-Cola, but as long as they look, function, and are completely different, they're demographic, they don't cross over to each other, then they're just fine. It's
like Apple. Apple, the company, has a copyright or a trademark on their name.
Logo.
Exactly. So if you tried to copy then they could come after you, and they would. But if you just use the word Apple, obviously they can't come after you because that's a commonly used word.
Yeah.
But there are obviously things that get by and stay, like your Taylor Swift thing, 1989. I don't know how the hell that should be considered illegal unless it's just an image thing for her too.
I feel like there was this, whoever was on the side of the horn and just,
sometimes money talks more louder than anything, than common sense.
Well, could be that.
I mean, the romance.
But I'm not giving them the NFL. I think some stupidity must have been around there too.
Well, obviously,
I don't see a problem with that.
I mean, I don't know, how the trademark office and all that is run or how it's done, but apparently a lot gets by that, probably shouldn't get by.
So in other words, what we should be aware of is there's probably some really strange things already copyrighted that we're not even aware of.
Probably. I remember the first time I found out that the song Happy Birthday was technically something we're not supposed to say. I was like, excuse me?
I think it's Time Warner. Time Warner has a Happy Birthday, which I think the copyright is supposed to be up, if not already up to now.
There are so many things that should be up in copyright world, even according to the copyright laws, but it isn't. I mean, Disney is a perfect example of that.
They're actually, from my understanding of history, and I'm just going to quote someone else who probably had more information than me and just blame them if I'm putting out misinformation. On YouTube, there's a guy, Matt Pat from The Game Theory, his show. He described from what Disney did a long time ago is they wanted to patent Mickey Mouse. Makes sense. It makes sense. It's kind of very close to their brand and identity. A lot of the laws that we have now weren't available then, but the way that they kind of try to protect them as Mickey Mouse being their image had a rippling effect, and that's kind of why we see a lot of sequels, a lot of licensing issues between DC and Marvel, and they can't just go back and forth, or Happy Birthday, which fell into that, and a lot of the updates they did from the Disney Mickey Mouse situation. Where we're feeling the effects.
And the crazy part is Disney wouldn't even exist as a company if that had been in effect before them.
Yes.
Because, most of the works, Snow White, the princesses, a lot of them were written by people before them.
Betty Boo? Betty Boo. She was a side character from another cartoon when she's a human now, but she was originally kind of a dog character. Her main character, or the main character of the show that she was from, and I don't know his name because it's really obscure, that was where Disney came from. That's where the Mickey Mouse came from, that original character. So yeah, totally. If that was copyrighted, then it wouldn't be Disney we'd be looking at. It'd be this weird, obscure cartoon that was way more edgier than Mickey Mouse was.
Yeah, the thing is, their trademarks and copyrights and patents and all that, they're meant to protect,
your identity,
your brand, your invention, whatever. But obviously they can be overused like anything, and so there has to obviously be some sort of happy medium, because if everybody holds a copyright and is clinging to that, then nobody will be able to create and build something greater than that. I mean, we're just talking about Disney. I still feel like one of the things that should be allowed, and I don't know how it isn't really a thing, but that you should be able to be with music. You can purchase the music to use either personally or to use as business. You can purchase that license to use it. Images, you can do that.
Yeah.
If you want to use a certain image, you can purchase that image and use it. Why can't you do that with certain other things?
Well, maybe there should be like a standard practice, like where I can go to. Let's say if I want to use certain Disney clips.
Yeah.
I get it. Disney may be very protective of their IP, but at the same time, and I mean intellectual property, by the way. So their IP. But if I can just like have some kind of process that I can go through, maybe there's some people I can contact. This can work out for both us and Disney.
Yeah.
Like, hey guys, I watched your movie last time. It was what was a movie we watched? Mary had a little lamb.
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins. She did not have a little lamb. But if I could, actually like take more sound clips and use that without having the fear of anybody coming down on me, if it is a simple process, I would totally take that process. If payment and some kind of acquisition need to be made, then I would at least know that that's what's needed in order to move forward in an action. It would be beneficial for both Disney, making extra revenue, and understanding and protecting the IP of how far you allow people to go.
Plus, sometimes when you let somebody else use that, then it eventually comes back to you like, oh, hey, yeah, this is where, let me check that out, and that sort of thing. So, I mean, or even like I've always thought of with like, technology and stuff like that, when they're creating the different computers or the different phones. And I mean, how cool would it be? Or even cars, like how cool would it be if they could be sharing that, their technology or their discoveries with each other, and it would benefit the whole, everybody as a whole.
Oh my goodness, just imagine if there's a way I can just like, have some kind of acquisition or deal with Apple, like, and have FaceTime on my I mean, there would
Samsung there would still be competition. There would still be, the thing is, it's not just what's in the vehicles or in the computers that make you different from everybody else. It's the the aesthetics, the brand, the name, there's a lot of things that go into it.
And everybody's goal is one thing, and it's nothing wrong with it. It's about getting better at this one thing, or just you know how to fix this problem. But we have like weird legal issues. It's like it's a non-existent issue. It shouldn't be there. It shouldn't be a barrier. It should be allowed to get better.
Right now, I see so much happening with like, and you hear people complain constantly, like Hollywood has no new ideas. They are constantly remaking things, constantly doing books or games or, and while it's great to watch some of these things that we could only see, a comic book, now we have the Marvel, universe in a movie. It's awesome to watch that. Yeah. But at the same time, I kind of miss out on having all those creative ideas that come out. And I wonder if some of that might be because, they just
aren't putting stock in them. I mean, like those movies before where there were original ideas, someone had to be pitched that idea and go with it. Now they're nowhere they're not listening to pitches anymore. We're just picking and choosing what was famous.
Yeah, and sometimes, the way you come up with ideas is by, getting someone else's
perspective.
Well, like, okay, you read a book on Marilyn Monroe, and then from that you were able to then come up with this amazing idea. But you need to be able to get permission from the Marilyn Monroe estate to then create this idea because you got the idea from that. If you cannot do that, then you can't create this amazing idea. And I feel like that's what's happening. There's all these like barriers to entry that nobody can get through anymore. And that's where we're kind of at this stalemate when it comes to creativity and moving beyond. And until we like are able to figure out how to work out these barriers of entry so that people can like get around them or get through them or whatever, I think we're going to continue to be in this, like, we don't necessarily advance. We just kind of keep rehashing things over and over again.
Exactly. Like, I feel like in a way, like this, like the problem with some of this, like the corporate competition or whatever, they have two options of staying at the top. They can make better products, or they can just shut the other person out. And I think that too many times, and it's becoming almost systematic, that has become a process. They're trying to come up with something new, shut them out, or buy them out, or come out. We'll find out what they're doing, then do better and offer something that crushes.
I remember when I was going through, getting my degree in business and stuff like that. They talked about how. Monopolies were illegal. And I see all these companies that are like eating up all these other little companies. And I'm going like,
Well, here's my theory on that. Okay. And Okay, let me say this first. One, we are not a political podcast. You have to comment and suggest a whole lot for that to ever happen.
Yeah, and it probably won't.
Exactly. What I do think is that from how Trump he didn't necessarily break any rules. People just thought that these were rules from the get-go. I think that's where that whole monopoly is against the law. I'm like, well, it's against the law until someone probably changed it over, or there's this little hidden rule thing, or it never was a real rule.
Well, I mean, the thing is, capitalism, which is what America pretty much runs on.
Yeah.
We use various forms of it, but
not sponsored.
Yeah, but capitalism is based upon the whole thing of it is based upon competition.
Yeah.
And monopolies stop that competition because they are now the only person in that specific segment.
Or actually, I remember what one person talking about is that people think that it's supposed to be this perfect system where for supply and demand, that's the heart of it. Well, let's say you're a poor person. How much supply do you have, and what demand are you going to ever serve? You're outside the loop. It's not the heal all fix all, because it's not something that helps everyone. If you're high enough, you can perfectly live with everybody who is high enough with you. You don't really need the people at the bottom. And I think in a way that by building a government system that's surrounded by that ideology will leave people out. It will systematically leave people out, because it's just ignoring helping or benefiting, or as we hear the term, handouts and whatnot. But they're still American. They're still people. They're still part of our system, nation, society.
I mean, it's like with any of this, and with the Cockygate controversy and all that. Again, you get so focused. You have these blinders on, almost like these people. You get so focused on your issue of, okay, I'm going to try to protect my brand, my copyright, or whatever. That you forget about these other people that you are now
you're sharing a field with people. You may be in the room by yourself writing this book, maybe in your own world by yourself in the book, but you are still sharing what you do with others.
And the thing is that if you in a community like the romance ebook community, we talked about this earlier too, where, these readers aren't just reading your books.
Yeah.
So if you go and stop another author from selling their book because it's, hinging on your brand or whatever.
Yeah. You're not going to hurt one of your fans go, wait, why is, oh no. You're not gonna, I watched them. That's
Yeah, exactly.
So you quickly turn a friend into a foe.
Yep.
Okay, we've been going for a while.
Yep.
And probably some closing statements I want to give out there. One, we're new in this community. We're still new. We've been doing this for over 6 months now.
Yeah, since May.
Since May, and maybe we haven't been as well. Maybe we've missed something. Has there been anything like this related to the Cockygate controversy for the podcast community that we haven't heard about, or we're just not aware of? Is it happening now? Did it happen a couple months ago? We would like to hear about that. And two, who else do you guys listen to? We've noticed that some of you guys are also podcasts too, and we kind of peek in and listen to you guys out there as well. We are going to have probably a conversation later on in the future that's kind of dedicated to a lot of our other people that are doing other things that we can see, mostly within the Podbean app. It's just designed easier for people to reach back to us, so we can kind of say hey and say hi.
Because that's where we host through.
Exactly. But if you have a chance, you can email us at itcouplepodcast.com.
Well, admin at itcouplepodcast.com.
I always get that confused. Admin, ADMIN.
Yeah.
Sorry, just saying that loud is going to make you go crazy. You can spell admin. I trust our audience is very intelligent. Probably better than I just did right there. My goodness, I'm getting tongue-tied. Or you can reach us through Podbean. It seems to be a very excellent app for a lot of people. And also our website at itcouplepodcast.com. where there is a little form where I probably put a post out, I think, in May. It's just like our photos there, just kind of waving or whatever, which I have redesigned in case you want to see what the new ish website. It's very similar. But yeah, with the new logo and stuff like that. Yep. But that's one of my shout outs. You guys, tell me please if you listen to anybody else. And is there any drama that I'm missing in the podcast studio right now? Please let us know. And I think that's it.
Yep.
Any final remarks from you?
No, I talked a lot.
Yes, you did. Well, thank you so much for listening. And until next time, take it easy.
See ya.